Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Oh, all right. Another night at the office, eh?
Indeed. Bruce, I need to start off with an apology to fans of Sniff and the Tears. Because I got that lyric to Driver's Seat completely wrong.
Well, driving on a Saturday night was right. But...
It's a little. It's doing all right. A little jiving.
Jiving. Okay. It sounds like driving to me. But
yeah.
Anyway.
I think I said it was something like slow dancing or slow moving on a Saturday. I just had it completely botched. I was almost as bad as... I only had
it partially botched. Okay.
You only had it partially. Yes.
Geez, the whole song's about driving. How could they not? How could they be saying jiving?
Well, it was the 70s, Bruce. That's all I can say about that. Bruce, that was a game that brought me right back to the 1980s, if not the 1970s of the WHA, when every game was topsy-turvy. But this really was an Oilers-style victory of the 80s. Just a wild and woolly affair. Tons of scoring. 8-4 for the Oilers. In a game that, in theory, for two periods, they deserved to lose. And in the end, the grade A shots, Bruce, were 20-17 for Detroit, with the subset of 5 alarm shots, 9-8 for Detroit. So the Red Wings, they are a fast hockey team. That was as fast a game as I can remember. I think we've seen some other fast games with the Oilers, this Oilers team, with Colorado and some other teams like that.
Mm-hmm.
But man, this game went at just a reckless, rapid pace, and the skill of the players, it just astonished me throughout the game. I thought it was of course, it's a thrilling game in the end because the Oilers absolutely kicked butt in the third period, scoring 5 goals in the third period. So,
yeah, I found it. Detroit 4 at Edmonton 8. Game 5 of the 1988 Campbell Conference Final, a clinching game.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the same kind of devil may care about defense kind of game. That was the game where Detroit, I think a few of their players tied one on the night before the game or something. They got into a little trouble after because they came back to Edmonton down 3-1 and kind of on the cusp of going out, and they knew it apparently. Anyway, I can't remember enough details to implicate anyone in particular, but there was some kind of team fail.
Well, and it was the 80s, Bruce.
Edmonton smoked them 8-4 in that game with it was just same sort of thing, you know.
I guess they had Yzerman on that team then, eh? Yzerman. Was Klima on that team? Or I guess Peter Klima would have been on that Red Wings team.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a... Go ahead.
Mark Messier had 4 points. Gretzky had 3. Simpson 3. Krushelnyski 3. So pretty standard fare, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it really was. Well, this was a night... and we're going to get to this, but Connor McDavid put on an utterly memorable performance. Although the details of it already are kind of blending together because there was just so many outstanding moments. Bruce, this is our 2 good things, 2 bad things, 2 numbers in 1 Conundrum podcast. Because it was such a thrilling game, we'll go with 2 good things each. What is your first good thing?
Yeah, you mentioned his name already, Connor McDavid. Hard to argue with 6 assists in this game. In fact, his stat line, according to the event summary, 6 assists, 6 points, plus 6.
All the points at even strength, eh?
No, yeah, well, there weren't any power plays for the Oilers.
Yeah.
Right? So all of their goals were pluses. And Detroit had a couple of power play goals, so they only had 2 goals that were scored at And for actually, McDavid was on for 7 and 1 against.
Yeah.
Because the goal that Draisaitl set up to Hyman that made it 6-3. McDavid was on the ice and very near uh, making the
Seventh assist.
steal. Yeah, yeah. He like I watched closely to see if his stick got in there as the
Yeah.
Detroit guy was coughing the puck up.
Might have
But
ticked it. Might have ticked that puck. You never know because it was a turnover. He was integral to that goal.
yeah, he caused the pressure for sure.
What was your
And
favorite play, Bruce, that he made?
oh, it had to be that late one, which he set up Evander Kane with the
Yeah.
double spin move. Holy. Like he spun back and then he spun forward and around and whipped it across. And Kane was, give him credit, going to the net with the stick on the ice. And when the puck arrived on the stick, he actually shot it into the net. He wasn't so surprised that the pass came that he didn't know what to do with it. And he did know what to do with it and buried it. But the move that McDavid put on poor Moritz Seider,
Oh,
who they had
jeez.
a one-on-one battle all night, and
So to
Moritz
speak.
Seider got taken to school.
Did he ever?
My goodness, he lost some epic battle. It wasn't that he's a good player, and just McDavid got the better of him. It was like McDavid said, "All right, son, yeah, I'm going to make you my personal project tonight." And he just took over. So he had 3 secondary assists in the early part of the game, and then 3 primaries down the stretch. And in fact, he had 4 assists in the third period, which I think that ties the club record
Yeah.
because the league
And
record's 5, and it has only and Gretzky actually didn't have that record, believe it or not.
that is unbelievable that Wayne didn't have that record. But
Yeah, any kind of assist record, yeah.
yeah,
But
what a game by McDavid. That was fantastic. It would have been so much fun to be there at the arena. There's nights like this that the people who are there, I'm sure, are just pinching themselves, saying like, we are so lucky to be Edmonton fans in the Connor McDavid era, and we are, and we are.
yep,
Bruce,
five assists. Dale Howard-Chuck and Chris Letang, who just did it this year in the big game that he had just after Christmas. He tied Howard-Chuck's record, and then there's a whole ton of guys with 4. And numerous times it's Gretzky, 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 Gretzky,
yeah.
Gretzky, Gretzky. 9 times he did it as an Oiler.
Oh my goodness, what a player.
I think that's right. Yeah, eight, maybe 8 as an Oiler, and then again later as a King. Yeah, 9 times as an Oiler. So anyway, Connor McDavid has entered that realm with the great Wayne Gretzky and they're Oilers. Oh yeah, Yari Curry and Mark Messier both did it. So it's a tidy list. But anyway, nice to get on any kind of list with names like that. Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, Yari Curry. I mean, you're talking about la creme de la creme in Edmonton Oilers history right there.
Indeed. My good thing, Bruce, is the 4th goal of the game. Game's tied 3-3 going into the third period. It's anybody's game, and Detroit's absolutely dominated the second period, scoring a couple goals to get back into it after being down 3-1. And everyone's thinking this is exactly like the first 13 games of the season, because it was. The Oilers were wretched defensively in that stretch of play. The only difference was well, I'll just do my 2 good things in order here,
Okay.
one after another. My Skinner was the difference. He was fantastic in holding the Oilers in the game and keeping it to, well, he kept the 3-3. He did let in a couple goals there in the end, but for a long time it looked like he was just going to stone the Red Wings and keep them right out of it. But they they got a couple good goals. But Stuart Skinner was really, really strong in this game. And talking about 80s hockey, it reminded me, this game, he reminded me of Grant Fuhr, where Grant Fuhr was so good in the moments he needed to be good. And Skinner was as well. There was always goals that got by Grant Fuhr. He didn't have a high save percentage. It was in the 890s at that time. And his goals against average wasn't spectacular, but he was a spectacular goalie and the best goalie of the 1980s, in my opinion. Patrick Roy fans will beg to differ.
Well, he
But
only played the last part of the decade, whereas Fury was really there since '81.
And he was the starting goalie in the 84 and 87 Canada Cups. He was deemed Canada's best goalie in 84 and 87. So Grant Fuhr was such a brilliant hockey player. Anyway, Skinner reminded me of that tonight. He was just super solid in this game, and he did let in 4 goals. That was on 20 grade A shots, so you'd expect 5 or 6, and he certainly held up his end of the bargain. So he's my first good thing, and I'll just morph to my second. So you head into the third period. What's going to happen? Are the Oilers going to, if they lose, it's 3 out of 4 games, Bruce, and they're heading on. They've got a tough schedule ahead of them. This is a game they've got to win. This is marked on the schedule right now as must-win victory for the Edmonton Oilers. And I'm starting to wonder, they seem to have forgotten all of their solid defensive habits, and they're giving up 2-on-1s, and they look wretched on defense, ragged, overconfident, lazy. All the bad things on defense, all the bad habits have come to the fore again. But then all of a sudden, early in the third period, Connor McDavid comes to life. He just totally barges in and beats Seider on the puck protection in the corner. And Seider, he grabs Seider's stick, and the Morris Seider is really upset about that after the goal. But it's he's the one who hacked it in there on McDavid, threw it inside on McDavid's body. What's he supposed to do? To hell with you, buddy. And he takes the puck, puts it around the net, and there's Evan Bouchard right in the slot. Now, I believe this is a play. Bouchard started off this play with a great stretch pass. Is that not the case, Bruce?
Yes.
I think this is a brilliant,
bullet stretch
absolutely
pass.
Fantastic stretch pass from Bouchard to McDavid to break in on the play. David breaks in. He does what he does to Seider, goes around the net, and he makes a fantastic pass to Bouchard, who gets off a great A shot from the slot. And all of a sudden, and I've been thinking all game long, this line of Fogle, McLeod, and Holloway stinks. They're just not getting anything done. They've been stinking ever since they got together. They've got to contribute. They've got to do more. Because there's been a number of games in a row where McLeod, Fogle, and Holloway haven't done enough.
Right.
And I was starting to get a little frustrated with all of them, thinking we need a goal from one of these guys. And lo and behold, Dylan Holloway comes in and makes an absolutely courageous, reckless hustle play, diving for the puck in the crease to put it in the net. And he tops it all off by skating head first into McDavid's knees and skates. It was a scary moment, actually. Reminded me of Taylor Hall in warm-up there where he got cut. But he takes McDavid off his feet, but both of them are fine in the wipeout play. But it was a fantastic hustle play by Dylan Holloway, and exactly what he needed to do. Exactly the kind of, I was thinking, they don't hit anybody, Fogle, McLeod, and Holloway. They're flying around, but they don't hit anybody. They don't have the composure to make a play with the puck right now because they're going a million miles an hour. It's kind of their play was marked by incredible speed, but at the same time, a lack of intensity and a lack of physical play. But he brought it all in that play. Yeah. He slammed it in the net. So fantastic goal for Dylan Holloway.
Yeah, he's getting +2 in his grade for that play. Usually I give 1 for, contribution to an out-and-out goal, but that was above and beyond. And not just that, it was an absolutely gigantic goal in the scheme of this game, where Detroit had all the momentum coming into the third period, and all of a sudden Edmonton had it. And it really swung on that play and that effort. And it was good to see because Edmonton's, I thought their effort wasn't up to par for 2 periods. Detroit was out skating them, out hustling them, and they were, they were on the front foot, and Edmonton was anything but on the front foot. And as you mentioned, that line, and they weren't alone, but there was there was plenty of issues. But all of a sudden, that play seemed to tilt the ice, and it seemed to deflate the Red Wings as well, because they'd been pretty super up to that point. I was very impressed with the large stretches of Detroit's game tonight.
I think it was deflating. It was a very dramatic goal and changed the game. Bruce, what is your second good thing?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Evan Bouchard's game, and especially his third period where he came up. I think that's when he got all three of his points, goal and 2 assists, plus 3 on the night, 5 shots and 8 shot attempts, 8 contributions to grade A chances for Edmonton, 3 contributions to grade A chances by Detroit. But, a nice positive spread for a D-man. I mean, many times we'll see a night where that's 0 and 3, or whatever. But he was a big influence on the offensive side of the game, making good, strong passes, and letting that bomb go and racking up some points. I thought it was the best he's looked offensively in a while. I think he's been a little bit in the doldrums this last little while, Bush, and he came out of them tonight with a very strong performance.
He sure did. I think he scored his goal early in the second period. We have Nuge setting him up. I'm just trying to think of the play.
Oh yeah, you're right.
What was the play? Nuge sets him up. McDavid's in on it as well.
Yeah, McDavid set up Nuge, and he.
It wasn't a bomb. It was just a good shot.
Mm-hmm.
I recall Bouchard
right from the slot.
Yeah, that's right. It was a beautiful slot shot, where Nugent made a really nice pass
from behind the net, and he caught him in the front end.
Yeah, there's so many goals. It's hard to remember.
Yeah. No, there's a flurry. It's all a flurry. I mean, 37 grade A shots, 12 goals. This was a pretty busy game.
Yeah, it really was, Bruce. Let's shift over to our bad things. What's your bad thing?
I got to go with again, penalty kill.
Oh yeah,
penalty kill. It's just after going on a fantastic 40 for 41 run, they went on a wretched 1 for 6 stretch, including 2 more tonight, where neither time did they ever once clear the puck out of their own zone. The first unit with Ryan and Nugent Hopkins, and with 2 different defense pairs. The first one they had was a minute or so the power play lasted.
Yeah, it was a long stretch for those poor guys, and it sliced open wide.
But they could not get the puck over the line. They got a piece of it 2 or 3 times, and knocked it into the corner or off to the side. Detroit would always win the race to it. Of course, they got the extra man, and finally did slice open for the Patrick Kane. Made 2 fantastic passes in a row, about 10 seconds apart. Ripped up both Nuge and Desharnais both times.
Yeah,
with 2 distinctly different plays, and yet it was. And then the second one, lose the face-off, and they just drove the puck into the net. And wham, wham, wham! 3 great shots from inside the crease. Nurse is down on one knee trying to prevent a pass out, and the guy just cuts right in between him and into the blue paint, because he wasn't protecting the blue paint. He was protecting a pass that didn't happen. And once you're down on one knee, it's kind of hard to then do, a lot of movement at least. And so he got burned on that one. Cece got burned on that one, and the face-off loss didn't help either. And, it was just it's too easy, boys. You got killed 2 minutes and you get to 10 seconds and they have 3 5-alarm chances and a goal in 10 seconds. Hello. I will give credit for the power of PK. That the one they did kill in the third period was huge.
It was great.
And at that point, it was 5-3. And if Detroit scores there, there's half a period left, and it's right back to a white knuckle ride the rest of the way. And they actually did a competent job on that third one. And
The
Knobloch,
first,
I'll give him
go
credit.
ahead.
He went back with his first unit. Like I was saying to Anna, my wife, that the if they have to kill another penalty, we still don't even know who is the second unit because Janmark's in the press box and the second unit's never even made it over the boards yet. But whoever they are, try them because the first unit was getting destroyed. But he stuck to the game plan and they got it done. So hopefully a turning point.
Turned out to be McLeod and Brown, which is not a bad
It's
second unit.
McLeod and Brown, yeah, okay.
The first power play goal, I'm going to give just credit to Patrick Kane. He just is such a, sometimes fantastic offensive players just beat you. And those were brilliant passes, brilliant plays, very hard plays for Nugent and Darnay to cut out. And they failed. But what a great player Patrick Kane is. What a fantastic offensive attacking hockey player. He's been great for a long time, and he still is. The second one, though, I think there was one of the plays in that one, just off the face-off, as you say, that I think kind of epitomizes what's going wrong in the PK. And it was Cody Ceci. And it was just a fractional error. The puck goes down low, and then it gets passed back out, I think, kind of above just to the top of the circle. And Ceci comes out too far. He's too aggressive. He's overconfident. And this is what we saw. This is, I think, what we saw in other penalty kill situations recently. The players think they're gods on the PK now, and they can do anything out there.
Skinner's going to stop it.
Yeah, they're going to fly around and attack, and they're going to somehow win the puck and get it out because no one scores on them. And what they're doing is they're overcommitting, and they're being just too aggressive, and they're not being cautious and smart. They're not being disciplined on the PK. They're flying around. Janmark and Brown were doing it the other game, flying around, not covering anybody. And this time it was Ceci. And again, it was just a matter of a few feet where he comes out too far. And if he hadn't done that, then there might be one chance in front of the net. But on the second chance, he's there with his stick to cross-check the guy to the ice, essentially. There's just one grade A shot from the side of the net. There's not three. And he left Nurse, and it was all Nurse with 2-on-1 down there, and Ryan tried to join in, but it's too late because Cody Ceci had wandered out too far. So I think the main problem on the penalty kill is overconfidence, and then panic sets in. But it's essentially they're just cavalier, is what's gone on, and they've got to just get back to playing more cautious and disciplined penalty killing, a little less aggressive on the puck, and covering off around the net.
And when you do get it on your stick, clear the damn thing over the blue line.
That'd help too. There was a couple of those, wasn't there? There was indeed. Yeah. Okay. My bad thing. So Bruce, I think so. The Detroit Red Wings took it over in the second period, took over the play. And my bad thing is just it was maybe the worst Oilers shift of the year, which is saying a lot because there wasn't a goal scored against this group of players. But it was a catastrophe from beginning to end. And it was the line of Draisaitl, Evander Kane, and Corey Perry were out for offensive zone face-off about 4.5 minutes into the second period. And Ceci and Nurse are out there. And I don't want to say Draisaitl's a slow player, but Ceci, Perry, and Kane.
Line.
It's a slow line. Perry's slow. Ceci's slow by NHL standards. Kane has his moments. I mean, Nurse is a fast hockey player, and Draisaitl can be fast, but not when he gets tired. And he certainly got very tired on this shift. It lasted 90 seconds, and he was in the middle of a lot of the chaos. There was no fewer than 3 2-on-1 breaks in this sequence. There was 5 excellent scoring opportunities. They didn't always get shots on net because the puck bounced. But it starts out with Bouchard. Excuse me, it was. Wait a second. Was that Bouchard? We have Bouchard. I'm just wondering if it was Bouchard. Did he switch off? Maybe our scoring chance document is incorrect, or maybe my notes are. Anyway, I have Bouchard losing a battle at the blue line, but I must have been Cece anyway. Draisaitl slow on the back check, and Kane breaks in, and he misses the net with his shot. The last moment, it goes off his stick. But then immediately there's a 2-on-1, and Perron breaks in, and after a flyby by Corey Perry and a lost battle by Cece, and Perron puts it through Skinner's legs, and he almost scores, but it squirts through and goes wide. Next, we have Kane found wide open in the slot. And there's mass confusion and panic at this point. Draisaitl's dragging around the ice. And Kane, he battles Nurse. He kind of flubs the shot, and Nurse stops him. Then there's another 2-on-1. This time, Nurse has caught up the ice, and neither Perry nor Draisaitl covers for him. And Rasmussen goes in for a slot shot. And finally, there's a break down the side where both Nurse and Cece get beat. And Draisaitl's slow on the wraparound, and there's another grade A shot off that. It was unreal that they didn't score. I just kept waiting for the puck to go in the net, and of course the 2 goals came quickly after that, because that wasn't enough of a wake up call for the Oilers.
No, it wasn't.
So
that whole second period was. It felt like Detroit had 10 2-on-1s. I'm sure if we went back and looked at the video closely, it was maybe only 7 or 8, but it wasn't like a small number. There was a lot of odd man rushes, and some emergency defensive plays by the defenders. I mean, Nurse made a great play, sliding play to take away 1 2-on-1. And Ekholm made one good hard hustle back after he coughed the puck up to turn it to cancel out the guy that had gotten behind him. And so there was a few hero plays in there, but what was missing almost entirely was solid defense. Like hero plays, you shouldn't have to make them 3 or 5 times in a period, right? They should be once in a while when, desperation, but geez, that second period. Oh, it's going to be a very hard game to grade.
It was a mess. And I think actually the even strength play is marked by the same thing we see on the shorthanded play. Just this kind of overconfidence, cavalier attitude towards defense that we're a great defensive team now, and it's just going to happen because we've limited the team to 1.5 goals against for the last month and a half, and this is who we are. But that's not how it works, and it certainly didn't work that way tonight. Hence the 4 goals against.
Yeah, case in point, there was a play where the Draisaitl, Perry, Kane line were out. They're not known to be fast. They were all deep in the offensive zone. Brett Kulak decides this is a good time to come pinching up the sidewall.
Yes.
He gets beat, and it's like a 2-on-1 from like the top of the face-off circle in defensive zone. They've already got everybody beat, and they haven't even got it over their own blue line yet. And you think, this is with the lead.
Yeah, it was 3-2 then.
It's not like they're going hard for goals. It's like they're just going hard for goals. But I mean, it was not like they needed the goals and had to take chances.
All right, your number.
Well, I'm going to go with 2 numbers because they're to do with the same player, 200 and 127. And that is 200 is the number of points in the career of Cody Ceci, which is a real nice mark for a defensive defenseman. It doesn't pile in the points, never gets any power play points, but now he's, been around long enough and sort of gradually collected points. And he finally hit that milestone of 200 tonight at the 8:48 mark of the first period on Draisaitl's goal. And on that play, much more impressive than his assist was the flyby screen that he did. Perry was camped out in front screening the goalie. And then just before Draisaitl's shot, Ceci went flying. The end zone replay really showed it. Went flying through, and the goalie kind of was kind of looking around and lost his short side post, and bam, that's where Leon put it. And then just a couple minutes later, Cody Ceci scored a goal. Cody Ceci scores a goal. Just 127 games since his last goal, which was scored in Game 2 of the 2022-23 campaign in a failed comeback that they lost to Calgary Flames on Hockey Night in Canada. and it was that was the last time. And since then, he's missed 2 games, and otherwise, the Oilers have played 129, and he played 127 of them without any joy until tonight. So it was a point shot through a screen by Nugent Hopkins and off the skate of, I believe it was Moritz Seider, who had a tough game.
What was he minus what?
-4.
Okay.
-4. So
He's wishing
tough.
that the Detroit Red Wings had drafted Philip Broberg with his pick.
Yeah, and the Oilers would have picked Seider instead. No,
Yeah.
anyways, that and so the puck caught Seider's skate. It was just one of those nights. Like the Detroit goalies hardly stopped anything really, and
Yeah.
when they did, the Oilers scored on the rebound. And this was the starting goalie, Billy Husso, that hadn't played in 7 weeks, and he got hurt before the first TV timeout. And when the Oilers scored, he came out. I think he strained himself he did make a great save off of Nugent Hopkins in the early going on a rebound shot. And then he came out, and Alex Lyon, who was going to get a very well deserved night off after playing something like 15 out of 17 for Detroit, was shoved in there early, and he just did not have a good. And he's been hotter than a pistol, but his 921 save percentage took a beating tonight because he let in 7 goals on 29 shots.
Ouch.
So
Yikes. He'll be down to
yeah,
9-12 or something.
that'll be an adjustment. A
Yeah.
correction. A correction.
There you go.
Statisticians call it.
It was his save percentage, Bruce, was unsustainable.
Yeah, well,
uh yeah, let me just see what his save percentage is now. Let's see if they've updated it. Hockey DB. 915.
well, it's so tired than I would have guessed after that.
All right. Bruce, my number is third. 3 for third. Connor McDavid is now tied for third in NHL scoring. And he has worked his way up. I think he was like in the low teens for a long time. Worked his way up to the, not 9, 10, 9, 8. Now he's tied for third with David Pastrnak. 77 points in 47 games. He's at 1.64 points per game played. The leader, Nikita Kucherov, McDavid's 13 points behind. Kucherov, though, is at 1.7 points per game. McDavid, 1.64 points per game. Kucherov has played 53 games, McDavid 47. I think, of course, McDavid has missed 2 games because of injury, which he's not getting back. But he does have 4 games in hand on Kucherov. So,
David missed too, yeah.
Yeah, McDavid missed too. So McDavid has some ability to come to work his way back. And my bet is he's going to win the scoring title, and he's going to be the league MVP this year, Bruce, because of the Oilers' massive turnaround from the start of the year and his comeback in the scoring race. Those 2 things will combine with an incredible plus minus, which he's going to put up this season. And he will be the NHL's Hart Trophy winner. And again, I don't think we've heard. I think he doesn't care anymore about these kind of personal awards. It's not on his mind. You smile a little bit about that. I think they care, but I think what he wants is the Conn Smythe and the Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Connor McDavid's eyes.
I
Those are the
just
prizes.
want to effing win, is what he said to Vinny DeHarnay last year. DeHarnay apologized for a mistake that gave McDavid a minus, and he said, "I don't care about
Oh, that's
that
right.
stat. I just want to effing win."
Yeah, we're seeing it. Like he is
message delivered.
He is the Tasmanian devil of desire for victory this year. He's just crazy to win this year, which is really good news for the Oilers. Bruce, here's the conundrum. So Craig McTavish was on Oilers Now, and they were talking about the Oilers at the trade deadline, and wondering what the Oilers need to do. And I'll just go find my story on this because I can quote him exactly then what he had to say. And where is it? Here we go. McTavish said the Oilers might well be in need of another player. He says Edmonton is just one of the top 4 contenders in the Western Conference and not the top team in his
Yeah.
opinion. He had Vancouver ahead of them and Vegas and Colorado ahead of Edmonton, with Edmonton and Dallas kind of battling it out. And he said depth is not a strong point on the Oilers. Quote, it's unlikely that given the current structure and makeup of our team that we can win. Maybe, but unlikely. I would say we're tied for 4th best team in the conference. And he also said, quote, let me just, this computer monitor. Quote, we need some improvement to amp up our chances to win the cup. So, I've been kind of in the camp with maybe the Oilers don't need to do a whole heck of a lot to win the Stanley Cup. But McTavish is obviously a hockey expert, and he's got a different take on it. So these last 2 games, we've seen the Oilers slip into some bad habits. They gave up 15 grade A shots against the Kings. They gave up 20 against Detroit. The third and fourth lines have not been doing very well. There's been some issues on defense. Goalie hasn't been an issue. What do you think? Do you think they need to make that big move? Because there's lots of people who argue, like I know Alan Mitchell, Low Tide has argued, like the Oilers need to go all in and make a big move, I think. What do you think? Big move? Is it big move time or not?
Well, I think they're going to make some moves. I made the case in a post recently that what they're missing out is depth scoring. Like they are not getting really anything from their 4th line and parts of their 3rd line, and that they only have 8 forwards that have 5 goals. On the season, they got a bunch of guys way down there. Holloway got his 3rd tonight, and it was a big goal. I mean, sometimes you need those bottom guys to chip in, and it was nice to get one from him. And they did change out tonight Janmark for Gagne, but it didn't really make much of an impact on the game. But you look at some of these teams, and they're 4 lines deep of guys that can hurt you.
Yeah.
And Vegas in particular, and they did hurt Edmonton with their 4th line in the playoffs last year. But some think, well, you make a big trade for a top 6 guy, and then you wind up layering guys like Fogle and McLeod on the 3rd line, and that, in theory, because what they were doing earlier gives those lines some scoring. Although both those guys have cooled off, and Fogle in particular is struggling.
And McLeod, yeah.
But their scoring depth is kind of suspect. And of course, the good news is that they have the high impact guys at the top of the lineup, so that that you expect the distribution of goals to be a little funky on a team like this, but still would be nice to be getting the bottom line that could chip in occasionally.
Yeah. The trade that I like that I'd like to see them replicate, like do a trade like this, is remember a few years ago, 2 years ago, the Avs picked up Arturi Lehkonen.
Yeah.
And this is a similar trade to one I think McTavish mentioned, that the Vegas picked up Barbashev. And that kind of trade.
Both those guys killed Edmonton in the playoffs.
Yeah, both those, if the Oilers could get that winger in a trade. Now, both of those guys ended up signing with the team they went to. And I don't know if that's going to be as much of a possibility with the Oilers given their cap constraints. And even now, fitting them in under the cap is going to be extremely difficult. So this is why there's talk of moving out perhaps a defenseman and giving Philip Broberg a shot at the trade deadline. Frank Saravalli suggested that Broberg's going to play a big part of the Oilers trade deadline, meaning, as he clarified, that he thinks Broberg might make the team at that point. And they've had his Daily Face-Off website has had Brett Kulak on the trade list forever this year. So seems like forever. It's just been a month. So I'm not sure. I don't know. But if they could get that kind of center or winger for the 3rd line, just someone really super solid 2-way player. Corey Perry looks like he didn't have a very good night tonight on defense, although he screened the total eclipse of the sun screen on the Draisaitl goal, which was fantastic. But Corey Perry looks like he's going to help, but yeah. So I'm not sure how much they're going to have to give up, but they have the first round pick this year that they can move out. And some players on the farm that have value. So we'll see. I'm not if that forward's there, that would be fantastic. So maybe that forward will be there. A first round pick is awfully enticing for a team, right?
Yeah.
And they, if they have an expiring contract, now the Oilers do they want to do that on a rental? Probably they do. I think probably.
Well,
they do.
for the right rental, I think they give up the first.
Yeah.
But anyway, they got. I mean, you keep hearing about Jake Gensel, and I keep looking at Pittsburgh right in the playoff run in the East, and I'm thinking, yeah, who's GM that's going to go in and tell Sid and Gino and Letang and Carlson that, hey, we're paying you guys a fortune to, into your dotage, but this year we just traded away one of your top teammates for futures. Like, that would be just totally contrary to what Pittsburgh is about right now, which is veterans going for the the last glory. So I'm not at all sure that Gensel's going to spring free out of Pittsburgh, much as people sort of see this name and, oh boy, would he ever be perfect? And they start to fixate on him. But you got to look at the other team and what would be what is their reason to trade this guy? I mean, if they lose the next 8 straight and they're out of the hunt, then sure. But that doesn't seem likely to happen.
Well, let's just have a look where they are right now in the standings. I understand they lost a couple games over the weekend, but it's still so
they
early.
Lost 2 1-goal games in regulation, so they really did take a setback.
Well, the Oilers did them a favor tonight, didn't they? Because Detroit's another team. Detroit's in the final wild card spot with 60 points. Then there's New Jersey, the Islanders, the Cap. Oh, Pittsburgh's quite a bit behind.
By points.
They're 7 points behind. They got 3 games in hand. So
they win those 3 games. They're 1 point behind. You can't say you're out of it when you got that many, 2, 3, 4 games in hand on everybody around them. So by percentage, they're 10th in the East. So 2 out of the second wild card spot.
Well, the Leafs have lost Morgan Riley for 5 games, so maybe they just have 62 points in Detroit has 60.
They're not. They won tonight, and I kind of figured they'd be motivated tonight after playing a poor game in Ottawa, and then all that.
And then there's Philly, right, who's lost their goalie Carter Hart, so they might be in tough. So yeah, it's hard to know. David Perron might be the kind of pickup that would be a good idea for the Oilers. He's that kind of two-way player, I think, at this, and nasty. So maybe we'll see him.
He always was greasy. He had a goal and assist and a +1 tonight in an 8-4 loss. He was one of Detroit's good play. And they had quite a few. They just had their troubles defensively and stopping pucks.
Some people are hoping for Eberle, but I just don't. I think he's too expensive and he's not the right player. I don't think I think he's too much of they don't need that particular kind of player.
5.5. I mean, even if they keep half of it.
Yeah. Like, how much better than Sam Gagner is Eberle this year? Like, I mean, points per 60, I think Gagner is doing pretty well. I mean, Jordan Eberle is still a better player probably than Sam Gagner, but he's having quite a down year. I mean, I haven't watched him, so I don't know, but I just don't see him as stylistically the kind of player that they need. They need a really tough, aggressive two-way hockey player who can also put up some points. Yeah. So Perron's more of what I'm thinking of that kind of player. So we'll see, Bruce. That's the conundrum. I guess we don't have the answer to that conundrum, do we?
Well,
But we don't have to have it right now.
well, we can have the same conundrum every podcast between now and the
We
deadline,
will.
because oil country sure does like to talk about trade deadline possibilities and sometimes impossibilities. But it's fun to consider.
It is indeed. Well, Bruce, you're doing the game grades, correct?
I am.
So I'll let you get at it. And thanks for talking tonight.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.